we know that the NHS is the largest UK employer of diverse communities in their workforce. So around 20% of the NHS workforce identify as from a Black, Asian or other ethnic minority group. And yet the data from 2019, 2020 shows that only 7.5% of exec directors come from similar backgrounds. So what have we done in Bradford District Care Trust in the psychological therapies team to really try and address this and to bring that change about? I think it's mainly been a twofold approach. The first one's around the recruitment and the way we address recruitment. And the second one is what we do when people are in post to commit to embracing different values, different belief systems, different approaches, and really making a space for everybody's voice to be heard. We changed the person spec alongside our involvement partners to include things that privileged experience of working with diversity. So things like cultural frameworks, different cultural frameworks for working with people from a range of backgrounds, people who celebrated diversity and working with deprivation and difference, and explicitly valuing things like community languages or lived experience of mental health.
When I started looking at this job, the profile, for me, there was a lot of originality. It just felt very different to other jobs that I'd seen, so it piqued my interest straight away. There was a lot of invitation for different types of skills. So a big component as well was a lived experience involvement partner on the panel, which I think is incredibly important. My approach is very much being alongside, being with people as opposed to doing to. So I think, you know, my passion for co-creation was evident in the interview process.
The strategy has been around this commitment to ensuring that when you're working in Bradford District Care Trust in our psychological therapies team, that you feel that this is a place where your voice can be heard and that it is a safe place where differences of opinion, differences of approaches and beliefs will be welcomed, and that you are invited to speak up and to think outside the box. We've invested heavily in training every year that specifically focus around the themes of working with diversity, embracing blind spots, and really understanding what do we need to do differently to work with different cultural beliefs, Islamic psychology, African psychology, working with LGBTQIA communities, working with neurodiverse clients.
That is what attracted me to this job, was the ability to come in a leadership role and to learn how to use and harness analytic thinking, which as a group analyst, I also, like I've said, bring the social in and the historic in. So to use groups and a sense of belonging, a sense of community, a sense of we're all in this together, where no one is alone. I'm very interested in people's stories, the stories of their families, the stories of their economic and social journeys, of migration, of displacement, of marginalization, of difference. That's what I think I bring, especially to this role. My leadership style is to lead from behind, and when needed, to come alongside people, and sometimes to lead from the front. I think my skills, my experience, not just in terms of my training and my qualifications and the experience I've had in my mental health work, but also the experiences I bring as a woman of color, as a woman who's had to migrate, as a woman who's had to find her way in different roles and finding a sense of belonging.
At our leadership level, that's at the 8B and above structure, we know that 50% identify as coming from a Black or Asian background, and 70% of the leadership team have protected characteristics. So I would say that that's something to really celebrate.
I think the way we reduce inequalities is to be part of the process of change, to not be outside of the change, but we must be part of that process as well.